All right, everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we are looking north to Canada,
Yes, north indeed.
and there are a lot of news articles and reports coming out about a few different things happening.
Oh, yeah, a lot going on up there.
Yeah, we've got immigration targets changing, border security getting a little bit of an upgrade,
Mm.
and of course the elephant in the room, Justin Trudeau's kind of sudden resignation.
It was a bit of a shocker. Seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, so we are going to dive into all three of those topics, see how they might be related,
Yeah, definitely interconnected for sure.
and what they could mean for the future of Canada. So let's start with immigration.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, this article I came across really caught my eye. They're lowering immigration targets.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. A
Right.
lot of people talking about that.
Yeah, so in 2025, they're aiming for 395,000 new permanent residents, which is a pretty steep drop from 485,000 this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's not just permanent residents. Temporary resident admissions are also being cut. So from what I understand, the government's reasoning behind this
Hmm.
is to ease the pressure on the housing market and the economy.
Right, trying to take a little bit of the heat off.
But is that the right approach? I mean, Canada has relied on immigration for a long time to help boost its economy
Mm-hmm.
and fill those labor gaps.
Well, yeah, and that's the big question, isn't it? It's a real balancing act.
Yeah.
You ease up on immigration, you might get a little breathing room in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, I mean, think about the strain on healthcare we've been seeing. They need skilled workers, and if they aren't attracting enough, it could make things even tougher.
Yeah. Especially with an aging population, too.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's interesting because this whole thing has really sparked a lot of debate. That article we looked at, they even asked readers to share their thoughts and opinions on it. Clearly, it's a hot-button issue.
For sure. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see how the government handles this whole situation. What steps they take to address any potential downsides of this policy.
Yeah, the long-term impacts.
But while all that's going on, they're also pumping a lot of money into border security.
Yes, that's right. Big investment there.
Yeah, a huge $1.3 billion investment going towards all sorts of things like advanced surveillance tech, drones, more border patrols. I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
Well, and I think we have to consider the timing of this too, right? This move comes right after that whole trade war situation with the U.S.
Yeah, back when Trump was threatening those tariffs.
Exactly. So it seems like Canada is trying to be proactive, safeguarding their interests.
Makes sense. But do you think it's purely a reaction to that? Or could there be other things at play? Are there actual security threats they're worried about? Or is this more about protecting their economy?
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, global security is a growing concern everywhere these days.
Yeah.
And Canada's not immune to that. So this investment could be seen as a way to get ahead of any potential threats and at the same time protect their economic interests.
Right. So it's like a two birds, one stone kind of thing.
Kind of.
But of course, it does raise some big questions about privacy and surveillance. What does all this mean for Canadians and people visiting the country?
That's the trade-off, isn't it? You want security, but how much are you willing to sacrifice in terms of individual liberties? It's going to be crucial to see how they implement these new measures and what kind of safeguards they put in place to protect privacy.
Absolutely. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Trudeau's resignation. Honestly, I was pretty shocked when I heard the news. What do you think led to his decision?
Yeah, it was a curveball for sure. I mean, his time in office was a bit of a mixed bag. He achieved some big things like legalizing cannabis, and he made some progress on climate change, but he also faced his fair share of criticism.
Yeah.
Like the whole SNC-Lavalin scandal definitely hurt his image.
And the economy was a constant battle, too.
Yeah.
Those pipeline expansions were a major point of contention.
Right, and now the big question is what happens next? The Liberal Party needs a new leader. And that's going to have huge implications for everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who will they choose? Will they stick with Trudeau's policies or go in a completely different direction? I mean, it's a real turning point for Canada.
Yeah. It's like we're on the edge of our seats waiting to see what happens next.
It's a political thriller in real time.
That's a great way to put it.
So to sum it all up, Canada is dealing with three major changes all at once. Immigration targets, border security, and now new political leadership.
Yeah, and they're all connected.
And what's really interesting? This is just the tip of the iceberg. I have a feeling things are going to get even more complex and fascinating in the coming months and years.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to keep watching this story unfold. It's going to be wild.
All right. Well, thanks for diving in with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, make sure you stay tuned because things are just getting started.